The Danish Gambit is a very popular opening at the lower levels, and it can be quite intimidating to play against as black, as white has both of their bishops eyeing down the king side here in a very open game. But don't worry, I'm going to show you a move that even grandmasters play, and it's very easy. You don't need to memorize a lot of theory. One simple move and you completely crush the Danish Gambit. So if you don't know the Danish Gambit, it stems from e4, e5, the most common line at the lower levels. And then white plays this not very popular move, d4. Black, go ahead and will capture. And now white continues to just give up pawns for this rapid development by playing c3. Go ahead, I'm going to recommend take the pawn. If white's going to give you free pawns, just take it. Now they're going to develop their white square bishop, hanging another pawn on b2. Let's take that one too. They develop their dark squared bishop, and we get the position from the beginning where both of white's bishops are eyeing down our king side. And you can see here by looking at the database, this is very good for white. Now I have the database set to players 1,000, 1,200 to 1,400. So between 1,000 to 1,400 and rapid games, because you're not going to see this generally in a slow classical game. And you can see here for white, this is crushing in most of these lines, except for one that I'm going to show you right now that's only played 2% of the time, and that's d5. But here's what's great about d5 if we go back. If I change this and I say, let's just only look at grandmaster games, we go from a 2% to 53%. This is the move grandmasters are going to play against the Danish Gambit because it pretty much goes into a queenless middle towards endgame, and it's a very drawn position. Now this is why the Danish Gambit isn't played at the grandmaster level, because grandmasters know it's just probably going to be a draw. But at the lower level, people don't like to play for draws. Players don't like draws. So what's either going to happen is A, they're going to go with the main line and you're going to be in a very drawn, even, middle to end game position, or they're going to blunder and you are going to be the one who wins the game. So again, I'm going to set this back to 1,400, 1,200, 1,000, because I want to make this realistic to what you might face in your games. So we're going to play this d5 move that nobody plays. And this is going to be a shock to white because, again, at this level, only 2% of the players ever play d5. So most players may not know the correct way to respond to this. So I'm going to show you a few ways. Basically, what you're going to see here is you're either going to see bishop takes or you're going to see pawn takes. Let's go ahead and look at each of these and show you how to, either have a very even game or just completely crush white. And let's start with the most common. You're going to see bishop takes because, again, this is what white wants. They want this attack. They want these bishops on these open files attacking our queen. No problem. We're just going to develop our knight to f6. And now you're going to see bishop takes almost every single time here. This is what white wants. And it looks like temporarily we're losing our queen because after our king takes here, our queen is hanging and white can just come down and take our queen. But we're going to get the queen back because after this, we're going to bring our dark squared bishop out with check. And really the move white must play here, and it is the most popular move. It is played 60% of the time. They must bring the queen back and block. And then after we take and they take back with the knight, the material is even. It's a completely drawn position. Stockfish says 0.0. We're going into a middle game here where we each have two knights, a bishop, two rooks, and the pawns are completely equal, and you're just going to play some chess from here. Now, I do want to show, after we play this bishop to b4 check move with our dark squared bishop, the ways white can get in trouble. 20% of the time, they're going to blunder by blocking with their bishop, and this is absolutely winning for us now because we are just going to take back with our bishop, forcing them to take, of course, with the knight here because it's check. And then we're just going to grab the queen with our rook. And now if you look at the position, we still have two knights and a bishop, but white only has two knights, and now we are completely winning. Now I do want to look at, again, this bishop b4 check move. If they, instead, with the blocking with the bishop, which they do 19% of the time, they block with the knight, which they do 14% of the time. So 33% of the time, they're not going to block with their queen, and they're going to blunder. So after they block with their knight, but you can just go ahead and take the knight here. And when they capture back with the bishop, take back with the rook. So when you look at the position here, once again, we have two knights and a bishop. They only have a knight and a bishop. We're up an entire knight here. We're once again crushing white. And if you want to make it a little more complicated and win even more material, then yes, you should take with the rook here. After you take with the rook, the most common move is knight f3 for white. Now we're just going to take the pawn here. The most common move is castle. We're going to take the knight. They're going to take. We're going to take. And now we're just absolutely smashing them here. They're going to bring the rook in, bring the knight back, or the bishop back. They take the pawn here, and we bring the king back. And if you look at this position here, we have 2 bishops and a knight versus just a knight. We are up 2 bishops in this position. We're going to be able to develop. We're absolutely crushing. Now, the last move we need to look at after we play d5 is what if they don't take back with the bishop, they take back with the pawn. Now, they only do this 29% of the time, but it could happen. It does happen, so you should know how to play against it. So after they take with the pawn, we're just going to develop our knight. They're probably going to develop their knight. We're basically just going to develop here. We're going to develop our dark squared bishop to a good square. Both sides are going to castle. And we're going to be in this position here where we're technically up a pawn. We are castled. Our king is very safe. It's going to be very easy to develop. We're going to try to get our light squared bishop here to pin down this knight. We're going to try to get our knight into the game. We can bring our rook here. We can bring our queen here to the open files. Very good game for us. Stockfish says it's a slight advantage for black, and you're just going to play some chess. So now you should never be scared of the Danish Gambit again. Just go ahead, take the free pawns, play d5, and crush your opponent like a grandmaster. But if you want to see how to also crush the fried liver like a grandmaster, check out this video right here.